Well, here's a question about fasting in Matthew chapter 9, verse 14. The disciples of John came to Jesus saying, "Why do we and the Pharisees fast, but your disciples, they're not fasting? They're feasting." Now, fasting has always been seen as a way of spiritual enhancement. It's a way of us getting close to God, drawing near to God. It could be even, we can say, a sign of desperation when we're really in a jam, we're in a fix, we need a miracle, we need a breakthrough, we need God to come true for us. Another thing for way in which fasting helps is when we just feel empty and we need God. So we spend that time, day or days, in fasting and prayer and in the Word. We're drawing near to God. Someone said that fasting it multiplies the effect of prayer by 100 times. It really does something. It's like putting your faith and your consecration on steroids. Now, Jesus earlier in the Sermon on the Mount said, when you give, when you pray, and when you fast. He didn't say if you fast, he said when you fast. So now here the disciples of John are seeing the disciples of Jesus not fasting. So they're coming to Jesus saying, well, why don't they fast? And Jesus says this. He says, can the wedding guests mourn as long as the bridegroom is with them? The days will come when the bridegroom is taken away from them, and then they will fast. So Jesus is the groom. The church is his bride. The church is not in existence as yet. But here he is setting the foundation, the formation for the church. The groom is here. And he's saying, when there's a wedding, when there's a celebration, you don't pick that day to pray and fast. You pick that day to go and celebrate, to eat, to feast. But he says the days will come when the bridegroom is taken away from them, and then they will fast. Then they will fast. So the question for believers, the questions for Christians today is, do we fast and pray? Especially when there's so much apostasy around us, when there's so much spiritual emptiness around us, when there's a lack of spiritual renewal and revival, when nations are turning away from God, our society is turning away from God, children do not know God, parents do not know God, in the school system they're pushing God out, politicians do not know God, there's no fear of God in our world. With all the battles, the wars going on in the world, in the environment in which we live, we need to pray and fast. So my encouragement to each and every one of us today is to have a day in the week in which you set aside for praying and fasting, spending time with God. Spend time with God, and you will see your spiritual life will be so enhanced, and you will sense the presence of God even more in your life, and the Holy Spirit will come in and refresh you. May God help us. May God touch us today.